everyone. I hope you're having a great day. I just came back inside from gardening. The weeds have gone wild. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to do a herringbone stitch. And I'm not going to show you what I'll be making in full because it takes hours to do the herringbone stitch. But I will show you the basics. So what you will need are some seed beads. So these are size 11s. Yeah, they're pretty tiny, but I like to use these for the herringbone because you can use these for like really simple like chains, and you can put pendants on them very easily, at least with the way that I make my herringbone necklaces. You can also make these into bracelets too. So these are size 11 seed beads. You will need beading needles. So these are size 10s. You can also use size 12s. And you can see they're tiny. These are especially for beading. There are other needles you can get for regular sewing, but you want to use the beading ones because they're thinner and are made to go through beads and small beads several times. And I like to, and I always have my beading mat, when I'm not using my needle at the time, I like to stick it in the mat like that, and that way it stays, and I know I can always find it. You'll need Fireline or Wildfire nylon beading thread, and you can get them in different colors, either in smoke or crystal, which is a white. I'm using the smoke today. I like to use the smoke because it's better for darker beads. I use the crystal one for brighter, lighter beads because you really don't want the thread to show much. And if you use the dark smoke in lighter beads, it would really show. So I use this only when I'm using the darker beads. And these are definitely dark enough to use this with. Then, of course, you'll need scissors to cut your thread. So when I first cut my thread off of the Fireline spool, I use my Fiskars, just because the Fiskars tends not to wear down so much when you're cutting this kind of nylon thread. And then I will use my thinner scissors when I'm cutting closer to the beadwork that I'm actually working on, because these are just too thick and I find too unwieldy, and I like to get in close, as you know, with using the smaller, thinner scissors. And then it's not a must, but I like using my flat nose pliers, and I'm going to show you why shortly. Okay, and then at the end, for a class, depending on what you like to use, I like using buttons, shank buttons. So I have this real pretty one here. Here's a shank. But this one happens to be a vintage German bead that I acquired recently, and it just goes perfectly. See, the color goes perfectly with those beads. So I like using a button for a shank button for a clasp. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some of the thread, and you need a long but comfortable working length. So what I usually do is I stretch my arms out as far as I can go, holding the end of the thread in one hand and the spool in the other. And then once I've gone as far as I can go, then I cut. And so it's about, an arm's length, so 4 to 5 feet, somewhere in there. Okay, so now to thread these needles, I think you've seen me do this before, they can be kind of tricky. So what I like to do is, before you even thread the needle, I like to smush the thread end with my flat nose pliers, and it flattens you can see what the thread looks like right now, and it will flatten when I press this down. Instead of it being round, it's going to flatten it, which will make it easier to go through the eye of the needle. So now I'm just going to put my flat nose pliers on the end here and press down. Now you can see that it's now flat at the top. And that just makes it so much easier, I find, to put it through the eye of the needle. And these eyes are really small. I'm going to thread it through. Oh, and I missed. I have to turn my light on here because otherwise I just can't see well enough to see what I'm doing. There is a lot to be said about having proper lighting for fine work. I know it looks a little glary when I'm doing this on your end, but it helps me to see. Okay. Oh, almost went through that time, but not quite. The hardest part about this, I find, is threading the needle. And I think I just got it. There we go. All right, so I've got my needle thread, and I'll put this back down so you can see better. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out some of my beads. Okay. So the herringbone stitch is going to look like a fine, basically like 2 rows of beads going in a line. That's pretty much it. Herringbone basically makes it look like a fish's spine. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some pick up some beads. So some people like to put their beads on using my hands and then putting them right on the needle. But I find with the C beads that it's easier to actually use your needle to pick up the beads. And I'll show you, I'll demonstrate. So I'm going to put some here so you can see. Let me push them back a bit so you can just see a little better. Okay. So do you see how I'm putting my needle onto the bead here like that? And there's one bead on there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 2 beads. And I'm going to slide them down a bit. Of course, getting started in any stitch is usually the trickiest part of a stitch for the most part. And I'm going to slide them down so until they're about, and leave about a 6-inch tail or so, give or take. And then what I'm going to do is go back up through both of them like that, which will solidify the beads in place. So now they're on. Okay. So now that I've got them, I'm going to pick up 2 more beads. With my needle. I'm going to slide them down. Because right now we only have like 1 row of beads, right? And I said there was going to be 2 rows. So now what I'm going to do is I put 2 more beads I picked up. So here was the first row, the 2 beads. So now what I've done is I've collected 2 more beads, slide down, and now I'm going to take my needle and go through the first 2 beads only that I put on. So here are the 2 beads that I just put on here, and then these are the first 2. So now I'm going to go back through them. What's going to happen is this is going to make a second row. So now I have 2 rows of beads. And this is the base of my of the herringbone. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 2 more beads. Every time it's going to be 2 more beads, and now what I'm going to do is going to be the same stitch that I do over and over. So now I'm going to pick up 2 more with my needle. I'm going to let them go down. So now I have 2 new beads on top of the left hand side of the left hand row. I'm going to go down. Let me show you here. I'm going to go down the topmost bead on the right hand side. Just 1 bead. So it looks a little jumbled right now, but I just went down the topmost bead here. And here are the 2 new beads that I had put on. So you can see one's on one side, one's on the other. So what I've done is I've gone through the topmost bead, down 1. Now I'm going to go to its partner on the other side here. I'm going to go through with my needle. You have to excuse me for a minute. I'm going to put on my stronger glasses because this is much finer work when I get with the super tiny beads. Oh, now I can see so much better. Okay. So now that was the topmost bead, so I'm going to go with the exact, its partner opposite in the opposite row, which was the topmost bead except for the new ones I put in. And then I'm going to go through the new bead that I just added. That has now, there's 1 row and 1 row 2. And I'm going to pull my needle through. And it straightens things out. So there, so now I have 2 straight rows, and there's now 3 beads on each. And I'm going to continue doing that until I get the length that I want. And because there's so many steps, and because these beads are tiny, it definitely takes a while. So again, I've now strung on 2 beads using my needle. I'm going to go down to this bead, and then I'm going to go up with its partner on that bead. And when I go down, these 2 new beads that I had just added on, 1 bead's going to be on the left hand side, 1 bead will be on the right hand side. So once I've gone down, I'm going to go over across to its partner, and then go up that bead and the other bead, new bead that I just added. And basically you're going to continue the process until I have the length I want. So I'm going to go down the right bead on the top, You can see now that seed beads that I had originally put on, that was on one layer, now they're in two layers. So there's one here and one there. So now I'm going to go across. This was the topmost bead on the right, and now I'm going to go to its partner on the left and then go through that bead and up to the newest seed bead. Just have to find where I am here. Okay. So now I'm going to go across to its partner bead on the other row, go up the topmost bead that I had just added on, slide it through, and there we go. And you can see that, you know, it's just a few beads here. You can see that there is a herringbone starting. And you can make this as wide as you want. You can make this as many stitches, you know, as many rows as you like. I'm just doing the 2-row just because it's easier just to show you for a demonstration. And also I like the thin ones because it's really good for like a chain or a necklace. So now I'm going to pick up 2 beads with my needle again. Slide them down, go through the top, there they are, go through the topmost bead on the right, and I have my newest beads there. I'm going to go through the partner bead to the one I just went through on the left hand side, go up the newest bead, and then just continue doing the stitch over and over until I get the length that I want. So this can be very meditative, as many stitches are. And because this one can take a while. Hi Kristen, hope you're having a great day. And if anyone has any questions, feel free, you can pipe in. So there it is as I'm continuing on. I'll do a few more times here so you can see, but here's the start of my herringbone stitch necklace. So I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads with my needle. And let me go down all the way. And again, I'm going to go put my needle through this bead right here, the topmost bead. And then after that, I'm going to go through its partner over here. When I go through this bead, these 2 beads that are in one row will each be on 2 different rows. So then after going through this bead, I go through the bead on the left and then up through the topmost bead and just continue on. Hi Linda, hope you're having a great day. So I'm going to go through. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in. I will see it live. So now I've gone down, and the 2 beads that were in one line are now in 2. I'm going to go through this bead here and then up here. There it is. can kind of see there's a little bit of a herringbone look to this already. The more you stitch, the more herringbone look it gets. So I'm going to again pick up 2 beads. Slide them down. Go through the top on the right, just 1 bead. And now the beads that were in 1 row are now in 2. I'm going to go to the left-hand row to the partner of the bead I just went through. And put my needle through that and go up the newest bead that's there. There it is. I'll do another 1 or 2 rows here, then I think you'll get the hang of it. This is basically the herringbone stitch. And again, you can make this wider if you like. But I like the narrow ones. I think they're just really pretty, delicate, and they're really great for using as necklaces, either on its own or if you want to add a pendant. And using the kind of clasp that I use with the button, it's easy just to slide a pendant on afterwards if you like. Because the beads are small enough and the clasp will be narrow enough, you can add a bead on after, or a pendant on after. I'll do 1 more row here. Okay, so I've picked up 2 seed beads with my needle. Slide them down. There they are. And now I'm going to go through, I'm going to go through the top bead here, and these 2 beads are going to basically become 1 in each row. I'm going to go and then go through its partner on this side, go up that bead, and then just continue. Up, except that my thread came out, which does happen at times. Does that ever happen to you? And when stitching, that your thread comes out of the eye of the needle? Just re-thread it here. Okay. So I'm going to go down the right topmost bead. Now I have the single beads that I had put one on top of the other. Now they're on each row. I'm going to go through this bead, the partner bead, opposite of where I was, and then go up with the newest bead. Like that. Can you see the herringbone starting to show? If I go like this, you might be able to see a little better. It's sideways. If I put it up a little closer, you might be able to see. It just gets a little blurry with the camera. You can probably see it's a little bit of a herringbone look there. So again, pick up 2 seed beads with my needle. And again, I just find it's much easier to pick up your seed beads with a needle versus putting them on your hand onto the needle. Slide them down, go through the topmost right bead, pull through, go to the opposite on the left hand side, and then go up the newest bead. There it is. I'll do one more row here, and then I will stop because this could be a little boring to watch all the time, because it's basically I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again until I get the length that I want. But once I'm done making this necklace, which will be a while because I probably won't be working on this all afternoon because I have other things I have to do today, but I will certainly post a picture of the finished piece once I'm done so you can see what it looks like. I won't come back to show you how to do the clasp. The clasp is basically the same method that I use when I did my spiral rope demo. So if you're looking to figure out how to do the shank button clasp, you should go into my YouTube page, which is Beads by Beardsley, and the demo on how to finish a clasp, button clasp, is right there. And it's the same method for this. I'm just using a different stitch for the necklace, but to do the clasp is exactly the same. Do one more row, and then I will say goodbye for now. But I hope you all are staying safe and healthy, happy, enjoying the nice spring, really almost summer weather. It's going to feel like summer this week for sure. I will show you what I've done here so far. It definitely takes some time because there's multiple things you have to do on the stitch. And there it is. That's the herringbone stitch. And you can see it's really starting to look a bit like a fishbone, a herringbone, which is the whole idea where it got its name. Anyway, so I hope you have a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you next week. And this will get posted onto my YouTube channel as well. And I will save it on my Facebook page. It'll be easy to find there today, but for future times, you can also look at on my YouTube channel. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.